So my first book is called Unintentionally Celibate, and it was about all of the fabulous sex I wasn't having and didn't have for about 5 years. It actually came about because I went on a date and I choked on a hot dog. So I actually couldn't breathe, choked on a hot dog, and I had to Heimlich myself on the bar. And so I go into work the next day, and everybody's like, how did your date go? And I was like, yeah, I had to Heimlich myself on the bar. And then I just spit up all this hot dog and beer, and they were like, you got to start writing about this. So I started writing, like, just some funny stories from when I was a kid, some funny stories from them, and that's kind of how that was kind of the evolution. It's a lot of rejection if you're trying to go through traditional publishing. I think I queried 143 agents before I found my agent. It was the day of my birthday. I actually got the offer for representation, and then like a few days later I got another offer. So when it rains it pours sometimes, and I think I was so desperate, I was like, please God, make something. But it's a process, and most creatives I know, I don't think this is true for everyone, rejection's kind of part of it. Like, you just have to accept that not everybody's gonna like what you're trying to do. And that's okay. It's totally fine, because somebody will, I think in the beginning I would get really discouraged. You feel like, can I do this? I think you really start to question your value. You really start to question whether or not you have talent. Are you delusional about your own ability to create things, to create art? And but then it becomes so ritual. I was just like, whatever, another no. I was just like, I'm not gonna stop until I get what I want. I kind of had this like reckoning moment, maybe like around rejection 52 or whatever, somewhere in the middle. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna stop until I get what I want. If that means I have to send out 1,000 query letters, and then I have to go back to the beginning of the list and do it again, I remember just sitting there and being like, I'm not gonna stop until I get what I want. I just worked too hard. Like, I'd worked too hard. I worked too hard with the first book. I worked too hard with the second book to try to create something. And it just wasn't an option. Like, anything but doing it wasn't an option. I write about controversial topics, right? And it was hard at first because you're worried about what everybody's going to think about you. And I always wanted to be the kind of person who's like, I don't care, and I write whatever I want. But I've been a people pleaser my whole life. So I've always wanted to be liked. I've had a deep, innate need to be liked. And that's hard when you're writing about topics, or write about sex and dating, that people have opinions about, or people feel a certain way about. And it was hard in the beginning because you're worried about not only your family's reactions and your friends, but they're still gonna love you. I was worried about like my 4th grade teacher and like strangers that I just met, and like if I ever dated somebody, my non-existent boyfriend's mom, like what she was gonna think about me. And if you want to create anything that's good, you have to stop trying to people please, because you're gonna become so inauthentic in doing that. And there's gonna be constant nagging voice in your head, like, oh, what's so-and-so's mom gonna think about this? And you're never gonna create anything that's genuine or authentic or vulnerable. At least not in my arena. On some of the websites I write for, I'm labeled a sex pert, and that's so ironic because my second book is really, it's about the journey of trying to be more comfortable with sex. And we live in a culture where we pretend like sex doesn't exist. We don't talk about it. We're not supposed to write about it. We're not supposed to, and that's dangerous. It creates a lot of misinformation. It creates a lot of people who don't know what the heck they're doing, who feel really insecure about it. And I was one of those people. And so that's why I started this journey, because my own insecurities and fears and delusions around sex and what it was and what it wasn't, and I needed to do something about that, because I wasn't having fulfilling sex or any sex, and that's unhealthy in a lot of ways. I think people are really afraid to share their work in the beginning because you feel insecure about what you're trying to do, and so you're afraid that people are going to be like, this isn't good enough, blah blah blah. But I've been sharing my work for probably 5 years now, and I feel confident and comfortable enough with it that I'm like, some people aren't going to like it, and that doesn't mean I'm a terrible writer and that I'm not funny and I suck at life and I should just like give up and start running a hot dog stand for a living, you know, like on what I'm trying to do. So I think people are really afraid to share things because they're afraid it's going to be crippling. But you have to start now, and you have to be like, okay, I'm sharing it, and this is where I'm at, and a year from now I'll be somewhere different, and I'll be a better writer or a better creator, and then 2 years from now I'll be better than that. And then by the time when you're 5 years in and you get, not to say it doesn't affect me, but it doesn't make me completely question my existence. I have a degree in politics, and I wanted to be a politician when I was growing up. I really wanted to be a politician, and I think I'd actually be a great politician. I was very like diplomatic, and I always kind of played it safe, and even when I was like 19, I'd be at a party and I'd be like, I can't smoke that marijuana if I become a politician, and photos surface, and I was always in this mindset. But the other side of my personality always wanted to just do whatever the fuck I wanted to do and not have to worry about that. And that's how I got into comedy, because comedy is like one of the only arenas where you can be 100% unapologetically who you are, and you don't owe anyone an explanation. You know, like comedians say and do stuff that if like people in the business world did, or people in the political arena did, like it just would never fly. But a comedian can get on stage and be like, you know, whatever, like, I farted in the grocery store and like whatever. And you can talk about sex and you can talk about life and you can be just a real freaking person. And you don't have to put on this like corporate mask or this political mask or whatever. And you can just be 100% unapologetically you. And I was really attracted to that. And it has been really rewarding to be able to be like, here I am, take me or leave me, you know, on the good days and the bad days. And, I love that. I think that's really cool. I think the two biggest things I hope to accomplish with the things I create, and whether that's a speech or whether that's with a book, the two main messages that I want to get across to people is that you are not alone. And whatever it is, whatever you're feeling, whether that's your insecurities about sex or your fears about being alone forever or whatever it is, you are not alone. And the second one is to speak your truth. And I think we spend a lot of time trying to hide who we are and hide whatever, you know, good things and bad things. And we really try to present this like facade to the world of like, here I am, perfection of blah, blah, blah. And I only eat amazing food and go on wonderful vacations, and I never have a zit, and I never feel shitty. And I'm always 100% certain that I'm going to be successful. And I'm always grinding and killing it and hustling, and I never sit around and watch 9 hours of TV. And that's just not reality. And we need to give people permission to be people. Like, you are a human being and you have real emotions, and that is okay. So just speak your truth, whatever your truth is in that moment, and acknowledge that. And so I really kind of like live on a platform of just like, speak your truth, be who you are, and don't be afraid of that.